see, we're gonna get our acceleration here. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2021 Jeep Cherokee 80th Anniversary Edition. So, first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Jeep Chrysler here in Sandy, Utah for providing us with the Cherokee. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's just get straight into the video. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 3.2 liter V6 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 19 around town and then 27 on the highway, with power outputs being 271 horsepower and then 239 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end on the Cherokee 80th Anniversary Edition. So first off, you've got the full LED lights here at the front. I love just the overall look here with the accenting there at the top, and then obviously the projector bulb. Fog lights just down below, and then notice the Jeep grille itself. It's kind of like a metallic gray, and then down here as well, that's also part of the package, is to have like metallic gray accenting, and they even put it there on the Jeep logo as well. But overall, you've got like a similar looking front end to any other Cherokee, just a little bit different with the color on the accenting. Now coming around to the side, we've got two 35mm tires and 19-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And then also part of the 80th Anniversary Edition, you've got the gray color there on the wheels. And then here's a quick look at the suspension on the front end with the Cherokee. And then you got the little Cherokee badge and then an 80th, and it shows kind of like an old school Army Jeep there on the side, which is a pretty nice little touch. But other than that, everything on the side here is pretty simple. Let's go into the rear hatch of the Cherokee. So notice that we've got a 12-volt back here. And then other than that, the storage space is completely unchanged to last year. Everything's all the same. You can see you've got the spare tire underneath this little covering, and then you kind of have like the little side cubbies. That is what lowers down the rear hatch. And then in terms of like size comparison, this is a little bit smaller than what is in the Grand Cherokee. That's why this is the Cherokee, and that one's the Grand Cherokee. Finish things up in the rear. So you guys know that I love the taillights here on the newer Cherokee. It's just a really clean look. And then again, you've got the badging in that gray color for the anniversary package, and then more of the accenting here down below with the parking sensors. And then notice that you do have the roof racks here at the top of the Cherokee. But other than that, there is one last look before we pop in. Here's a look at the door panel on the rear of the Cherokee. So first off, you can see like the door handle actually looks pretty nice, which I know I don't usually mention that, but it just does. And then you've got the leather with the stitching here, just where you're gonna rest your arm. And then actually coming to the seats in the rear, normal seats in like an upgraded Cherokee, nothing special happening here, just more of that white stitching. And in terms of the quality of the leather, I mean, especially for where this is at price point wise, it's actually really solid. Like, it's really soft, the touch, has nice perforations. As usual, let's pop in, and of course, hair is always messy. If you guys are wondering, I'm 5'11", and well, I'm not like quite there. If I was like 6 foot, I probably would hit the top. But anyways, you guys can see my legroom as well, and then you can see the vents right there, and then you can see USBs, and then you've got a little power outlet as well. And then this is for the cup holders, and you can also use it as an armrest in the back. But other than that, that is everything for the rear of the Cherokee. Now let's go over the door panel here in the front of the Cherokee. So again, you've got that same soft touch with the stitching all along here. All of your regular window controls, the mirror adjustments as well. And then here are the seats at the front. So again, that really nice leather with the perforations all throughout it. Like, I'm really impressed with the material they use, and that is really soft to the touch. There's your adjustments on the side of the seat. Here's what the pedals look like just down below. Your hood latch release is actually like hidden right there, which is interesting. Little light control right there. That is for the hatch in the back. And then there's just one more look before we pop in. Here's a quick look at the steering wheel. So you've got smooth leather all the way around, and then you've got the white stitching on the inside. Cruise control in this little part of the steering wheel. And then you got the control assist, center stack, voice command controls. There are little panels in the back of the steering wheel where you can control the radio. This is the volume, that's the channel on that side. And then you see you got the stock for the windshield wipers, and then you've got the stock for the turn signal, and That is the steering wheel on the Cherokee. Right here in the center, you can see you've got RPMs on the left side, and the right side you've got the speed, and then there in the center you can see there's the little digital screen that gives you different bits of information. So like your vehicle info, driving assistance, fuel economy, which is actually, let's see what the fuel economy is right now. 17.7, that's not too bad actually on the car. But yeah, pretty good look. I love the fact that, like, you guys can see in the back there, you've got like the continents on the little trip info. I think that's a cool little like touch on the digital screen. But that's everything for the center. Now here's the whole infotainment system area. The reason I have it kind of zoomed out is you guys can see there's storage up above, and then you've got like the black stitching on the dash. But actually going into the infotainment system, if we pop it into reverse, there's the camera that pops up. Resolution's good, and then you can see the trajectory lines that'll turn with it. Just a traditional backup camera, no 360 system or anything like that. It does come with a dual zone climate, heated seats, and a heated steering wheel, which you turn on from the infotainment system. There's that little tab for it as well, and you can go to the backup camera whenever you want. But in terms of the rest of it, touchscreen response time is really solid, and I just think it's a good system in general. Nothing else too crazy with the infotainment system. This is in all of FCA's products pretty much. Just down below, we've got the little parking sensors right here. That is your lane departure assistance, and then you can see controls for the radio, climate controls down below, and again, it is a dual zone climate. And then you got your auto stop start if you don't like that, your stability control if you want to drift in your Cherokee. And then you can see down over here, you got a little 12 volt and then a USB and auxiliary. And then over here is the drive mode select. So it's pretty easy to use, and they call it select terrain, which again, it's just a drive mode select. But it pops up here on this little screen. So you can see we've got the snow, and then you can pop over into the sport, and then the sand and the mud, and it kind of shows you a little depiction of that. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use, nothing too crazy happening. Here's the shifter for the 9-speed automatic transmission, and again, you've got the manual shift function if you do want to shift the gears yourself. Little parking brake right there, and then you got a couple of cup holders in the center console with the stitching. Lift that up, you guys can see there's some extra storage space underneath, and then you can see even more storage space and another auxiliary in there, and you've got little thread through areas for cables. And then coming over to the glove box, you can see it's a pretty normal glove box, but again, you've got that old school Jeep because this is an 80th anniversary edition. So up top we got a little sunglass holder. Make sure to like push on that little silver tab or it won't open. You know, just learn that from personal experience, and that won't close. There we go. Anyways, universal garage door openers. You got the controls for the panoramic sunroof, as you guys can see. Lets a ton of light into the cabin. Black headliner, and that is all. As you can see here, 2021 Cherokee 80th Anniversary Edition, and you guys can see the color slate blue pearl coat. I really like this exterior paint color. But feel free to freeze the frame on any part of this. You guys can see the stuff that comes standard with this Jeep. And then obviously you got the optional equipment. So you can see that is the 80th anniversary package, and everything that this package comes with is like all in this little section here. The thing that I thought was interesting is the humidity sensor. I haven't seen that in a vehicle before, so pretty interesting, but makes sense. You guys can see all that, and then obviously the total price right there, $36,160. Let's take this Cherokee out and see how it drives. Let's quickly talk about visibility here in the Cherokee before we start things off. So you can see visibility over the hood and then through both the mirrors. Remember, they do have blind spot monitoring. And then here's visibility all throughout the rear as well. So visibility in general is really solid. And that all being said, let's set off. We are initially setting off here in the 2021 Cherokee, and as always, let's first talk about the road noise and the ride quality here in the Cherokee. So from a noise perspective, it's actually pretty windy today, and so the wind noise is relatively minimal. There's an interstate right there. You guys can probably see that in the field of view, and I don't hear it. So from a noise insulation standpoint, the cabin's actually really quiet, which I definitely appreciate. And I mean, if you're getting something like this, I expect that you want that. In terms of the noise from the engine, you hear quite a bit from the V6. It's not bad by any means. It's actually a pretty nice sounding engine, but even when you get on it slightly, you definitely can hear the noise from the engine. Now on the ride quality side of things, really smooth. You guys can see going on this. doesn't upset the car at all. So going over bumps and divots and all that really don't upset the Cherokee. So from a ride quality perspective, I would definitely put this at average, actually even a little bit above average. So it's a little bit smoother than most vehicles in this segment from that perspective. And we're gonna get a little turn here to see how it handles. Yeah, this thing feels tiny. And we'll get our minor acceleration here, and this is in the auto mode. So it gets up and goes pretty well, but we're gonna shift it over into the sport mode. And then we've got it in the manual mode as well, and we're coming up to a stop right here. Yeah, it stops very well. So the brakes, again, I would just put it at about average. Most vehicles in this segment, you really can't tell a difference with the brakes. And of course, we run into a bunch of traffic. Well, as you can see, we're gonna get our acceleration here. Sorry that wasn't the best acceleration, but the gear shifts are actually pretty smooth and it's actually relatively quick. The transmission when you downshift isn't the most responsive, but on upshifts, it's actually pretty responsive for what this is. Oops, gotta let this person in. Gosh, you guys can see the brakes just work so well. So from an acceleration standpoint, pretty solid. I totally gave that person enough room and they decided that they didn't want to go in. But anyways, acceleration is solid. It's definitely right where it should be for an SUV of this size in this segment. And in terms of the gear shifts, like I said, a little bit slow on the downshift, but on the upshift, they're actually pretty quick. And so again, I'd rate the transmission at a little bit above average for this segment. And so as an overall package, the Cherokee's really solid. I feel like it's a pretty good price point for the size of SUV that this is. But I mean, other than that, I would definitely recommend getting the V6 first off. I think this 80th anniversary package is pretty neat with the aesthetics. If you don't care for the aesthetics, then obviously you can save some money, get similar features, but I think overall it's a pretty good value. And I mean, you guys can see right here, I pulled over here so you guys can see some other Cherokees that don't have this package. Definitely looks a lot better with like the darker emblems and all that. And so, yeah, if you're looking for an SUV of this size, check out the Cherokee. And that stop, look at that, look how seamless that is. Then when I take off the brake, boom. Good to go. That is going to sum things up for our video on this 2021 Jeep Cherokee 80th Anniversary Edition. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Jeep Chrysler here in Sandy, Utah for providing us with the Cherokee. Check out the inventory in the link below. I will see all of you in the next video.